Hello homeowners and prospective homeowners. Today we're diving into some intriguing trends in the real estate market. Zillow, the giant real estate marketing concern, has released its newest data and reports on the housing market. For viewers hoping for good news on home affordability, brace yourselves for nightmarish updates. Rents and home prices are rising. Home affordability is declining, and we'll break down Zillow's crucial information. Whether you're a renter, a homeowner, or somebody needing to choose between your two options, this video about current housing market dynamics is for you. We've uncovered some surprising trends in the latest Zillow report that you won't want to miss. Plus, I'll share a personal story that highlights the impact of these trends on real people just like you. The market is always evolving, but by the end of this video, you'll clearly understand the current market trends and how to leverage them to save money and make informed choices. Let's start with some good news. There's been an increase in new home listings. In May, new listings rose by 8% compared to the previous month and 11% compared to last year. This is significant because it indicates that more homeowners are ready to sell. This shift can be attributed to a phenomenon known as the rate lock effect easing. Homeowners were previously hesitant to sell because they didn't want to lose their low mortgage rates. But a Zillow survey found that about 80% of recent sellers were motivated by life events rather than just financial conditions. Imagine you're the Smiths, a family who bought their home 5 years ago with a low mortgage rate. They've been considering moving closer to their aging parents, but the thought of higher mortgage rates kept them on the fence. Recently, their decision was driven by their parents' health rather than the financial implications. They realized that being near family was more important, even if it meant a higher mortgage payment. This decision was not easy for them. They spent countless nights discussing what was more important, the financial stability of staying put or the emotional well-being of being close to their loved ones. Ultimately, the joy and peace of mind from being able to care for their aging parents won out. They sold their home, embracing the higher rates as a necessary sacrifice for their family's happiness and cohesion. This kind of motivation is driving sellers to list their homes, adding much-needed inventory to the market. However, while more homes are available, buyers aren't matching this increased activity. In May, sales were 6% lower than last year's already low volume. This partial restock of the housing market has raised the number of homes by 22% compared to last year's near record low level. Despite this, inventory is still 34% below pre-pandemic levels, the smallest deficit in over 3 years, but far short of the inventory levels that have been historically deemed normal. The market is still grossly undersupplied, but Zillow tells us there are solid signs of improvement. If you've been following me for a while, you know my experience has taught me that informed consumers save money and are happier during their move. That's why I often use Zillow data to discuss U.S. housing market conditions. If you're not a subscriber, please click the thumbs up like button and subscribe now so that you get all my new content when it's fresh. If you really want to know what's going on in housing, to see and hear the data explained, to learn the tips and tricks that put extra money in your pocket, then subscribe now and I'll keep you in the know. With more homes available and fewer buyers competing, the market dynamics are shifting. Buyer competition eased in May, cooling home price appreciation. When we look to the Zillow Home Value Index, it shows that annual home value growth slowed from 4.4% in April to 3.9% in May. Home values are now 45% above pre-pandemic levels. That means for the past 4 years, we've seen the average annual appreciation rate approach 9%. That's nearly double the historical growth rate and a big part of the home affordability crisis. Think about John, a first-time home buyer who's been saving for a down payment for years. John's been frustrated with the high competition and escalating home prices. But recently, he noticed that homes are staying on the market longer and there are fewer bidding wars. This has given him hope that he'll be able to negotiate a better deal. John's journey has been filled with ups and downs. He's faced numerous rejections and has seen his dream home slip through his fingers multiple times due to intense competition. But now, with the market easing, he feels a renewed sense of hope. He can picture himself finally securing a home, a place where he can start building his future. Renters saving for a down payment might get some relief as well. Zillow forecasts that home values will rise by 0.4% by the end of 2024 and decrease by 1.4% through May of 2025. Zillow believes that potential buyers, like John, might find slightly more affordable options shortly, though I'm not so sure. Zillow's Market Heat Index provides a snapshot of local housing market activity across the U.S. based on the number of views and saves for homes listed on their platform. It indicates the relative level of buyer demand and seller interest in specific areas. The current image indicates a shift towards a more buyer-friendly market, although sellers still have a slight advantage. For example, sellers are in a strong position in cities like Buffalo, Hartford, and San Jose. In these areas, homes are selling quickly and often above list price. On the other hand, markets like New Orleans, Miami, and Jacksonville and Memphis are more favorable for buyers, offering better negotiation leverage. Let's consider a story from New Orleans. Emily and her husband were looking to buy a home. They noticed that homes were staying on the market longer and that many sellers were willing to negotiate. This gave them the upper hand in negotiations, and they managed to purchase a home below the list price, something that would have been unimaginable a year ago. Emily's story is one of perseverance and patience. She and her husband had been outbid several times, leaving them feeling disheartened. But they kept looking, and their persistence paid off. When they finally found a home, they immediately fell in love with it. Knowing that the market had shifted in their favor, they made an offer below the asking price. To their surprise and delight, the seller accepted. This experience taught them that patience and timing are crucial in real estate. Have you noticed rising or falling home prices in your area? Comment below with your experiences and share your location so everyone can see it and how these trends are playing out across the country. Zillow announced that nationwide, nearly a quarter of homes for sale made a price cut in May, the highest share in at least 6 years for this time of year. Buyers may find deals on properties that have been on the market for a while. This environment makes experienced real estate agents valuable for both buyers and sellers, as they can help navigate the changing dynamics to find deals and market properties effectively. Now, let's learn what Zillow has assembled for home values. Zillow reports that the typical U.S. home value is now $361,000, with a mortgage payment of $1,931, assuming a 20% down payment. Home values rose in all 50 largest metro areas in May. The biggest gains were in Buffalo, 2.1%, Pittsburgh, 1.9%, Cleveland, 1.8%, San Jose, 1.8%, and Hartford, 1.7%. The smallest gains were in Austin, 0.2%, Tampa, 0.3%, San Antonio, 0.3%, Orlando, 0.3%, and New Orleans, 0.4%. Consider Sarah, a homeowner in Buffalo. Over the past several months, she noticed her home value increasing significantly. This boost in home value provided her with more equity, which she decided to use for home improvements. Sarah's decision was influenced by her desire to create a more comfortable and updated living space for her growing family. She invested in renovating the kitchen and bathrooms, adding modern fixtures and appliances. The renovations, completed over several months, not only enhanced her family's quality of life, but also positioned her home as a more desirable property. When she eventually decides to sell, the increased home value and the improvements will make the process smoother and more profitable. Year-over-year home values increased in 47 of the 50 largest metro areas. With so many YouTube channels declaring a market crash, you have to wonder where they're getting their data. Home values increased in 94% of the 50 largest metro areas in the U.S. The highest annual gains were in San Jose, 12.7%, Hartford, 11.6%, San Diego, 11.1%, Los Angeles, 8.9%, and Boston, 8.3%. Home values fell in 3 major metros: New Orleans, negative 5.9%, Austin, negative 4.1%, and San Antonio, negative 2.2%. The typical mortgage payment is up 11.3% from the last year and has risen by 115.3% since pre-pandemic. Now, make sure you heard that correctly. The typical mortgage payment is more than double the pre-pandemic payment, and most of what Zillow reports suggests it will get worse due to the limited supply of homes in the U.S. New listings rose by 8% month over month in May and by 18% compared to last year, but remained 23% lower than pre-pandemic levels. Active listings increased by 7.4% from last month and by 22.1% compared to last year. Inventory levels are still 33.8% below pre-pandemic levels, the smallest deficit in over 3 years. Consider a scenario here in Tallahassee, where my office sees the increase in new listings as a market shift opportunity. With more homes on the market, we advise our clients to price their homes competitively and use our aggressive pre-marketing strategies to attract multiple buyers quickly. This strategy pays off as our clients' homes sell faster and at better prices than they anticipated. Our expertise in understanding the changing market dynamics and our proactive approach help our clients navigate the competitive environment successfully. By using data to guide our pricing strategy and focusing on presenting homes in the best possible light, we ensure that our clients' properties stand out in a less lean market. This approach results in quicker sales and maximizes the money sellers receive, benefiting both the sellers and buyers who found well-maintained homes ready to move in. In May, 24% of the listings had a price cut, up from 22% in April and 19% last May. In April, 1 of every 3 homes sold above their list price, up from 30% in March, but down from 35% in April 2023. The key takeaway here is that while more sellers are cutting their asking prices, the reality is that the low inventory levels are creating bidding wars that result in a third of home sellers receiving more than their asking prices. Next, Zillow reports the trend of pending sales. A pending sale is one where the seller has signed an agreement with a buyer and is now working through the due diligence process so they can head to closing. Zillow tracks pending home sales to gain insight into what next month's closings will look like. Newly pending sales remained steady from the month prior, but decreased by 4.2% from last year. The median days to pending remained at 13 days in May, unchanged from April, but 3 days longer than last year. To add a historical perspective, it was very common when I got into the business in the early 1990s to see the average market time for most homes be around 60 days. After the Great Recession, when the market hit bottom in 2012, it was typical for median days to pending to surpass 100 days in my market, with only 30% of homes selling. Zillow's report of a 13-day market time is excellent news for home sellers and indicates that home buyers should brace for a highly competitive market. Our final graph is one that I don't see enough real estate experts study. Even though most of us focus on the for sale market, we must monitor the for rent market to understand the overall supply and demand for housing. Fortunately, Zillow makes this easy with the rent reports. Landlord asking rental rates increased by 0.6% month over month in May, slightly below the pre-pandemic average of 0.7% for this time of year. Rents are up 3.4% from last year, but have an average annual growth rate of 6.7% since pre-pandemic levels. Monthly rents fell only in Birmingham, negative 0.3%, held steady in Tampa and New Orleans, and rose slightly in Louisville, 0.1%, and Miami, 0.1%. Year over year, rents increased in 48 of the 50 largest metro areas, with the highest increases in Providence, 7%, Hartford, 7%, Louisville, 6%, Cleveland, 6%, and Buffalo, 6%. The study of rental rates is imperative because most people waiting to buy a home are facing rent increases while home prices are rising. There's no cost savings in an undersupplied housing market. Renters face inflation. Buyers can generally lock in their monthly cost with a fixed-rate mortgage. For the foreseeable future, home affordability will worsen for people who must move. For sellers, the increase in new listings and the easing rate lock effect reflects a growing willingness to sell, often driven by personal motivations such as life events rather than purely financial considerations. For buyers, the slower pace of sales and easing competition offer a more balanced market, with the potential for less stressful deals and some negotiation power. Whether you're a homeowner considering selling or a potential buyer looking for your dream home, understanding these market trends can help you make informed decisions. The value of experienced real estate agents cannot be overstated in navigating these changes effectively. They bring in valuable insights and strategies that can turn challenges into opportunities, ensuring their clients achieve their goals. As we move forward, it's essential to stay informed and to adapt to the shifting dynamics. The housing market will continue to evolve, and staying ahead of the trends can provide you with a strategic advantage. Whether you're buying, selling, renting, or simply keeping an eye on the market, knowledge is your best tool. If you want to see a video featuring my 9 tips for buying a home in a highly competitive market, you can view it by clicking on the box on the left side of your screen. To see a popular video featuring my top 6 home selling tips, just click on the box at the right. Please remember to like this video, check out the links below it, and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything.